In today's lesson video, we're going to be learning how to calculate time differences. So we're going to look at a couple of different strategies for being able to find that time difference. Let's look at a word problem. A film begins at 4:45 p.m. and it runs for 112 minutes including trailers. What time will the film end? Okay, so we might want to highlight our important information. And the important stuff is that it begins at 9 p.m, that it runs for 112 minutes. That includes trailers, so the whole thing is 112 minutes. It begins at 4:45. We want to know what time the film ends, okay? So we know that it starts at 4:45. We need to add 112 minutes and that will give us our answer of what time the film ends. So we'll first look at how to solve the problem using a clock, and then we're going to look at how we'd solve the problem using a number line and how that number line is very linked to how we'll do it on a clock. So we'll first start with our time at 4:45 p.m. and we want to add on 112. So I'm just going to write down that we want to add on our 112. Minutes. Now at 4:45 I can see that it's very close to 5 p.m. So I'm just going to move it to 5 p.m. and I can see that I've added 15 minutes. So I can take 15 minutes away from the 112 minutes that I need to add on. So I've done 15 minutes of it already. Now what I could do is I could keep subtracting 15 from 112 to find out what there is left, or I can just keep going for a while. I know now that I can go from 5 o'clock all the way around to 6 o'clock because that's 60 minutes. And I know from adding mentally that 15 and 60 is only 75. So I know I haven't quite done, I haven't quite used up my 112 minutes. So I'm now at 6 p.m. I'm now going to add on another 15 minutes. I know that my 15 and 60 and 15 makes 90. I know that I've now got another, I can do another 10 minutes. That takes me to 100 minutes. And now I can add on 12 minutes, which takes me to my finish time of 6:37 p.m. Should we look at how to do that using a number line now? So I know I need to add on 112 minutes. I'm adding 112 minutes. And just like with my clock, I'm going to round up. So I'm going to make that a bit neater. 112 minutes. So from my 4:45, it's good to round up to the next hour. So I'm going to round up to my next hour, which is 5 p.m. And I've used up 15 minutes here. From my 5 p.m, I then went to 6 p.m. because I know I can fit an hour in. Now I could write plus 1 hour, but as I'm using minutes, it's better to stick to that unit plus 60 minutes. So far I've used up 75 here. Okay, so from my 75, what I could do is add on 25 because I know that 75 and 25 make 100. So I know then when I've got to this point, I've added on 100. So I'm slowly building up to using up my 112 minutes. You might already be able to spot from 75 to 112 in one jump. If you can do that, go for it. So 6 p.m. plus 25 minutes is 6:25. I know that I've used the 100 minutes. I need to use 112. I therefore have 12 minutes left. And 6:25 plus 12 is 6:37. So both the same answer, but what we've done is we've always gone up to the next hour where we can, and then we've always added on in chunks so that we can start chipping away at that 112 minutes, but making sure we're comfortable with what we're chunking our number into. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's look at another problem now. A train arrived at its destination at 10:35 a.m. The journey was 87 minutes, including delays. What time did the journey begin? Okay, so have you spotted how this is a bit different? This time it arrives at its destination. Now we've got 10:35 a.m, which is an important fact. And we know that the journey was 87 minutes. So like the last problem, we know the length of time, but we need to know when the journey began. What time did the journey begin? So we actually have the end time and the length of the journey, but we don't have the start time. So let's take a look at how we would solve that using a clock. So if I put my clock at 10:35, I know that I need to take 87 minutes away. Now from 10:35, I could jump back to 10 o'clock, and that would be 35 minutes. So of my 87 minutes, I've now jumped back 35. Now I can see with 87 and 35, you could either keep jumping up in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but I can see that I still definitely have enough space for another 50 minutes. But you might want to work in half an hour's or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever you feel comfortable with. So from 10 o'clock, I might want to jump just back half an hour first to 9:30, which was 30 minutes. Now if I did another half an hour, another 30 minutes, which takes me to 9 o'clock, 9:05, 9 o'clock, I can see I've actually gone too far because I've taken away 35, 30 and 30, which actually adds up to 95. So I've gone too far. So we're going to go back to 9:30. At this point, I've taken away here 65 minutes. So I could fit another 10 minutes in, which would take me to 9:20. I could fit another 10 minutes in, which takes me to 9:10. Now I've taken away now 35, 65, 75, 85. I have 2 more minutes left to take away, which gets me to 9:08 a.m. So shall we have a look at how to do that on a number line now? So I've got my 10:35. Now I haven't written on this page the journey time, so I know I need to subtract 87 minutes. So I'm going to label my number line. So like before, I would try and always jump to the nearest hour if you can. So I want to get to 10 a.m. So 10 a.m, I'm going to use a different colour this time for the jump inside. So this jump was taking away 35 minutes. It's taking away 35 of my 87 minutes. So I'm going to jump in half an hour again. Actually, I'm going to jump in 10 minutes so you can see what you can do if you're not able to jump in a big jump. The bigger the jump, the better. But if you're not confident, you can do smaller steps. So let's just say I took away 10 minutes. So 35, 45, 55, 65, 75, 85. And it's fine to label your jumps first like this. So I took my 35 minutes away. I knew that got me to 10 a.m. a nice round number. Then I took away another 10, so that's 45 minutes, 55 minutes, 65 minutes, 75 minutes, 85 minutes. I know I've just got to take another 2 away. Now I've put my jumps in, I can start to write down what happens after each jump. So 10 o'clock, take away 10 minutes is 9:50. 9:50, take away 10 minutes, 9:40. 9:40, take away 10 minutes, 9:30. 9:30, take away 10 minutes, 9:20. Take away another 10 minutes, 9:10. Take away 2 minutes is 9:08. And there you have your answer. Now, like I said earlier, the bigger the jump, the better. So if you were able to, from 10 o'clock, recognise that you could do a jump of half an hour, or perhaps you even saw that you could have done a jump of 50, you might have seen that you could add your 35 and 50 to make 85. So you might have gone straight from 10 o'clock straight to 10 past 9 and then taken your last 2 away. Let's move on. A party starts at 12:45 p.m. and it ends at 2:38 p.m. How long was the party? So here's a different type of problem. Oh, that highlighter's not very good. Let's change it for a different colour. So we've got a different problem here because we know our start time and we know our end time. And the question here is actually how long the party was. So this is a different type of calculating time difference. We found the end time. We found the start time. We're now finding how long the party was. So here we have our party starting at 12:45. So I'm going to pop 12:45 on my clock. And I know I need to keep going until I get to 2:38. So I'm going to record my time moving around the clock. So from 12:45, I'm going to jump 15 minutes till 1 p.m. So I'm going to write down that I've added 15 minutes. I'm at 1 p.m. I can do a full turn. I can do a full hour to 2 p.m. still, can't I? Because the party doesn't end till 2:38. So I turn all the way around to 2 o'clock, and that is 60 minutes. Now from 2 o'clock, I need to get all the way around to 2:38. So 38 minutes past 2 means I'm going to be adding 38 minutes. So using my clock, I've managed to look at breaking down the full time into nice little chunks. And now that I've written down all the chunks of time, I can add up my times. So my 5 and 0 and 8 is 13. And my 1 and 6 is 7. Plus my 3 is 10, plus my 1 is 11. So altogether, those 3 smaller chunks of time added up to a total of 113 minutes, which is how long the party was. Let's have a look at doing that using a number line now. So we've got our number line, and what we need to find out is how long the bit in between is. So far we've had the bit in between. We've had this jump. This time the jump is actually our answer. Now what you would do here is exactly what we've already been doing, which is breaking up our jumps into nice little chunks. So we'd always try and round up to the next hour. I'm going to start at 12:45 p.m. and the next hour is 1 p.m. So I would round to my 1 p.m. The next hour is 2 p.m. I would jump to my 2 p.m. and then 2 p.m. I think we could make one jump to 2:38 p.m. So I've put my jumps in, but we now need to put in how far each jump is. So from 12:45 p.m. to 1 p.m. is 15 minutes. From 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. is 1 hour, but we're working with minutes, so it's 60 minutes. And from 2 p.m. to 2:38 p.m. is 38 minutes. So we've actually been able to label all of our jumps we've managed to break out our big jump into 3 smaller parts. So the final thing we need to do is to add the 3 numbers together. So our final thing would be to add 15, 60 and 38. So 60, 38 and 15. 0 plus 8 plus 5, it's 13. 6 plus 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10, plus 1 is 11. So my answer is 113 minutes. Exactly the same as when we used the clock. But which method did you find easier? So you've learned 2 different ways today to calculate time differences. I would always recommend using a number line and not going straight to adding using the written method as we've done here with our answer. You can't add time differences using this addition method. You can only use this once you've got all your minutes, you can add them up. Okay, but using a number line is so important and so helpful when you are calculating time differences. So using a couple of those strategies I've taught you today, you could download the worksheet where you have to fill in the missing values. It might be the end time or the start time or the time duration. Or there's lots of activities you can do independently at home. You could do things like look at the TV guide and calculate how long a program is. Look at what time it starts, what time it finishes. Can you use that info to figure out how long the program is? Could you look at different videos, look at the video length and say what time it would finish if you were to start watching it at a certain time? You could even do things like calculate how long it takes you to do different activities or exercises at home. So make a note of what time you start, what time you finish. Could you calculate how long it took you to do that? So loads of different things you can do with calculating time. If you've enjoyed this lesson video, then please have a look at our website where you can sign up for access to loads more free resources to support maths learning in Key Stage 2. So that's years 3 to 6. If you're enjoying these videos and you're finding them useful, I'd really appreciate you liking my video and sharing it with other parents with Key Stage 2 children to let them know about the useful resources that I'm sharing. If you'd like resources for Year 6, the app is available to download already on Google Play and Apple Store. It's just $4.99 a month and it covers the complete Year 6 maths curriculum. It's completely aligned to the national curriculum and covers every single learning objective. There are lesson videos, there are worksheets, and there are also past SATs questions. So everything you could possibly need to support maths at home for Year 6 is available to download now.